All right, let's just get right to it. Kawasaki has just dropped an absolute bombshell on the Indian motorcycle scene with the 2026 KLX 230. We've all been waiting for this bike for what feels like forever, and the entire conversation, all the buzz, it really just boils down to one single unbelievable number. Yeah, just look at that. 1.84 lakhs. I mean, let that sink in for a second. The old one, the imported version of this bike, that was nearly 3 lakh rupees. So this isn't just a price cut. This is a complete game changer. And, it immediately makes you suspicious, right? Exactly. You're thinking it, I'm thinking it. Where's the catch? How on earth did Kawasaki manage to slash the price that dramatically? And I think more importantly, what did they have to change or maybe compromise to hit that magic number? Well, that's exactly what we're going to break down right now. Okay, so the big secret, the main reason for this price drop, it comes down to one word: localization. This new KLX 230 is now 95% made in India. That is a massive shift for Kawasaki. It's how they got to that jaw-dropping price. But, and this is a big but, it also means parts have changed. And the entire philosophy of the bike has been kind of rethought for a totally new purpose. So let's get into the nitty-gritty. What exactly has changed on paper? The best way to do that? Let's put the old imported model right next to the new Indian spec bike and just look at the numbers. Okay, now this is where things get really interesting. It's a real story of give and take. First, you see that massive price drop. Incredible, right? But then look over at the suspension travel. It's actually been reduced, both front and rear. But then, on the flip side, the engine output has actually gone up a little bit. And the front brake disc is way bigger. So see, it's not as simple as just downgrading everything to make it cheaper. So you gotta ask, why would they reduce the suspension travel? I mean, that's like the key feature for an off-road bike. Well, Kawasaki's official line is that they're repositioning it. They're aiming for more of a dual-purpose machine. They argue that the lower travel actually gives you more feel and more confidence on the road. So it's a deliberate choice, they say. But, as we'll see, it's a choice with some pretty major consequences. Okay, so that's the plan. But does it actually work in the real world? Let's talk about performance, and we'll start with how this thing feels on the road. And honestly, this is where we get our first big surprise. Yeah, this quote just says it all. You'd think a locally made engine might be a bit, dulled down, but nope. The exact opposite is true. The reviewer was just blown away by how fun and punchy this motor is. It's kind of become the unexpected star of the whole show. So let's dive a little deeper on this engine, because it really is a gem. The throttle is super responsive, and it has this fantastic tractability. What that means is you can be lazy with your gears. You can be in fourth gear at like 30 kilometers an hour, and it just pulls cleanly without any fuss. It'll even get up to 120 k's an hour. Now, there is one downside, a pretty significant one. There's a lot more mechanical clatter. The engine is just plain noisier than the old, quieter, imported one. And now for a bit of a puzzle. Remember that bigger front brake we saw on the spec sheet? Logically, you'd expect much stronger, sharper braking. But that's not what you get. Kawasaki has tuned these brakes to be very progressive. That's kind of a nice way of saying you have to pull that lever way in before they really start to bite hard. And look, that could be a real problem in an emergency stop when you need all the power right now. Okay, so it's a surprising amount of fun on the road. We've established that. But a KLX is a KLX. It's legendary for what it can do off-road. So what happens when you take this new Indian-made version into the dirt, especially with that reduced suspension? Well, this is where that compromise we've been talking about really starts to show. And there it is. That quote just cuts right to the heart of it. Look, the bike is still super light, it's easy to manage, it's fantastic for new riders. But that new suspension setup, it just can't handle being pushed hard. Not like the old one could. It's not built for aggressive, high-speed off-roading. Here's the crucial difference, right? The old KLX, you could just hammer that thing across any terrain, go as fast as you wanted, and it would just soak everything up. This new bike? It's brilliant for learning. It's perfect for exploring trails at a nice, relaxed pace. But the second you start to really push it, that front suspension just bottoms out. It feels completely overwhelmed. It's lost that go-anywhere-fast character that made the original so special. All right, let's pull all these threads together. On one hand, you have that absolutely shocking price and a brilliant engine for the road. On the other hand, you've got this clearly compromised off-road capability. So what's the verdict? Is this new KLX 230 a bittersweet bargain? Let's lay it all out. On the good side, That price is just unbeatable. The engine is lively, it's engaging, it's a ton of fun. And for new riders, it is so confidence-inspiring. Plus, you can get a 10-year warranty, which is amazing. But then there's the compromise side. You lose that high-speed off-road ability, the engine is noisy, the brakes are just okay, and the fuel tank is tiny, only 7.5 liters. So with this balance of pros and cons, it's pretty clear this isn't the bike for everyone who loved the old KLX. It's a different beast. So the most important question now is, who is this bike really for? Is it for you? Let's run through a quick checklist. Ask yourself these questions. 1. Are you new to off-roading? 2. Do you need a bike that's lightweight and easy to handle, something that will build your confidence? 3. Is value, getting the most for your money, your absolute top priority? And 4. Are you okay with a bike that's more about exploring trails than it is about hardcore enduro racing? If you found yourself nodding yes to those questions, then this is probably the perfect bike for you. And that leaves us with one final, very interesting thought. You are saving over 1 lakh rupees with this new price. That's a ton of money. So what if you took that cash you saved and you invested it back into the bike, upgraded the suspension, maybe tweaked the brakes? Could you essentially build your own perfect KLX 230, one that has the best of both worlds? Now that just might be the smartest play of all.